Hello, Top Fan Rivalry followers. It's Bill and Jackson. Normally we do this on Friday morning, but it's actually Friday afternoon today. So, Jackson, how are you this afternoon? I should say, sir.
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. It's hot and it's rainy. I'm ready for it to be fall. I need the hot weather to go away.
We're supposed to get hot weather this weekend, and then we're supposed to be good
Yeah.
after that.
So
Mm, Good, good. All right, as usual, as promised in the weekly review, Jackson, what do you got for us? Round one.
number second. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Number one. Uh, let's talk about those Miami Marlins who have been playing better of late. They've won 7 of their last 10, and they've kind of caught back up in the wild card.
Hmm.
They looked dead in the water, but I'm going to talk about a downside for them. They're only one game out, and they have lost Sandy Alcantara uh, and Jorge Soler are both on the 15-day and 10-day IL respectively with injuries. Bill, do you buy Miami being able to slip into the playoffs ahead of Arizona or Cincinnati?
I don't. I don't. I don't. I think it's going to end up being Cincinnati. But I this year's playoff run is much different than a lot of other playoff years. So I don't know what to say. I mean, it's one of those things where you shake your head and you go, okay, okay. I mean, it's exciting if you don't have
Uh, you know,
a team in the race, right?
yeah. What I've heard from Philly fans, it's like whenever they win, the Cubs never seem to lose, and when they lose, the Cubs never seem to win. So it's one of those situations where the teams are just nobody can break free. So it'll be
Just seems like it's a back and forth thing, right?
yeah. I'm glad the Braves are up on the top of the division, and the worst they can do is collapse and fall into a wild card spot at this point. So
Uh,
don't really have to
as
worry
I
about
as I mentioned today in the leagues, I said, the Braves got lucky, and Thomas is like, yeah, we've gotten lucky 91 times. I'll take that kind of luck. So,
that.
all right.
You know what they
So
say, Bill? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than it is to be good.
Braves seem to be doing both right now, though.
Hey, when the ball bounces your way, the ball bounces your way.
Pick it up and field it, right? All right. So my number one is Walker Bueller has officially been shut down for the 2023 season. He's made a couple of pitching rehab starts in OKC. It was announced today that he is done for the season. So amongst other things with the Dodgers and their pitching staff, that's one that, you know, if we got him back, bonus. If not, is what it is. Jackson, what do you think about the Dodgers pitching staff?
I think it's got a couple of holes in it after last week's events. I think
Yes.
they have. I think they have that season time, which is a big deal. I think it's an underrated aspect of postseason pitching, being experienced.
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's true. And it'll be interesting to see how the playoff picture plays out and who has experience and where and how far that experience takes them.
Yeah.
Right. All right. What do you got for number two?
You talked about getting to watch some baseball this weekend. There's some great baseball this weekend. The Phillies are playing against the aforementioned Miami Marlins at home for 3 games. The Cubs play at home against Arizona. So 2 really big NL wildcard matchups there. And if you head over to the American League, the top 2 American League wildcard teams, Tampa Bay and Seattle, are duking it out.
That's right. That's right. I mean, how could you not forget the White Sox in Detroit, though? I mean, that's a nail biter for everything, right? Just kidding. Just kidding.
Hey, hey,
Um,
hey! Detroit's got some nice young players, so it might not be a wash to watch. You might watch Hoppy Baez swing at every pitch thrown his way,
there
but
you
I'm sure
go.
the young guys will impress.
There you go. There you go. Wow. Hmm. The Chicago game already ended. Hmm. I didn't realize that. Hmm.
Oh yeah, I forgot that the Cubs don't play night games on Fridays. Fun fact, Bill, I saw a number the other week. Yeah, Arizona beat them 1-0.
Yep.
Um, that the Cubs have only played like 12 night games at home since they put lights in at Wrigley Field. At
Overall
or like on a Friday,
on a Friday.
on Friday night games. Sorry, Friday night games at home.
It's like, wait a second, they're playing all the time. Okay.
Yeah, they play at night, just not okay.
Well, that makes sense. All right. So number two for me is you're right. There is a ton of good baseball to watch. Number two for me is how do certain teams manage expectations when they haven't completed this season the way that they thought, i.e., the Mets, the Padres, even some of your teams that are struggling like the A's and the Kansas City Royals. And my answer to managing expectations would be to make sure that you build up your farm system so you can grow organically through the system, and as you're winning, pick up a piece or two throughout. Stop trying to buy every free agent. Jackson, what do you think?
I think there's some truth to that. I think it depends
Some?
on what kind of free agents you're going after. You need to if you're going to get free agents on longer deals, you got to make sure they're kind of on the younger side. The safer ones. I think what teams really kind of lost along the way is because the Yankees extend talent. They make sure to get guys that were entering their prime or were in their prime, and then they wouldn't have to deal with the decline. And I think that's something that's kind of changed in modern baseball. Every guy's looking for the 11-year contract, as we saw last offseason.
Yep.
So it'll be
Last
interesting to
year.
see how teams proceed going forward. Trying to fill in those spots because, like you said, you do need to pick up a free agent or two along the way because your farm system's not going to produce everything.
Okay. I like it. I just think you got to be super careful with if you're not going to build it organically and you're going to try to buy your team, it doesn't matter who you're buying, which free agents you're going to buy. It's still not going to be enough. I mean, the Angels are a perfect example. They have Shohei and Trout, and they're doing nothing. They're not going anywhere now, albeit there's a lot of injuries, but they still have Shohei and Trout. The Yankees have Judge and Stanton. They're not going anywhere, right? Orioles have
Yeah.
who? And look at where they're at.
Uh, yeah. Well, to counter your point, the Phillies made the World Series last year, and they're full of mercenaries. They got Bryce Harper. They signed Bryce Harper. They signed Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Zach Wheeler, among other names. So I think it's picking the right free agents, and I think the Phillies, for the most part, have kept the deals in a short window, and it's allowed them to, because they have limited talent. I'm not trying. Look, I am a Braves fan, but I'm not trying to shoot down the Phillies farm system's very good in Philadelphia. They have a track record of not producing a ton of good talent. So I think their front office has done a fantastic job of churning out the guys they can, and then filling out the spots with free agent signings that have paid off.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Top Fan Rivalry count or point counterpoint. This is not the weekly review this week. It is point counterpoint hosted by Jackson and Bill. Call in and let us know if you want to count or have a point or a counterpoint. No, I'm teasing. But yeah, no, it good point. Good point. Weird sentence. Anyways, what do you got for
The
number
route
three?
is probably to develop more talent.
Exactly. What do you got for number three?
Number three, I was going to talk about a series that took place earlier this week. How about the Houston Astros with
Ooh.
an emphatic sweep of the Texas Rangers? The Astros, I think, have a 4-game lead on them now,
Mm-hmm.
and they've kind of retaken control of first place in the division. They have a half-game lead on Seattle entering play tonight.
Three game, 3 game lead, not 4 game lead.
3 game lead. Yeah, 2 in the loss, 4 in the win. 3 game lead. But what's your takeaway from that series, Bill? Do you think the Astros have asserted themselves as absolutely boat racing the Texas Rangers earlier this week?
No, no, I think teams get hot at the right times. Well, I shouldn't say get hot at the right times. Teams get hot and teams get cold. Remember, the Angels were red hot at the trade deadline. Oh, we're not going to trade. We're not going to trade Ohtani. We're going to build, build, build. We're not going to trade Ohtani. We're not going to trade Ohtani. We're going to go out and get Lucas Giolito. Lucas Giolito is 1-7 with an over 10 ERA since he's been traded. And he,
I have a funny stat about him on the honorable mentions, but
okay. But I think the Astros are right now they're hot. And unfortunately, the Rangers are not right now. The Rangers have a team built for October, but they're not playing like that right now. So have the have the Astros solidified it? I don't think so. Um, Up until last week, I would have told you that the Rangers are still going to win the division. I don't know that they are now. I think it's going to be between the Astros and the Mariners. So that's my thought on it. What I mean, having been to both ballparks last weekend, um, one one with the Yankees and Rangers, and one with the Rangers and Twins in Arlington. Having been to both ballparks, by the way, they're both gorgeous ballparks. The Rangers just aren't performing right now.
yeah, I think they've kind of just fallen a little bit. I don't want to say flat, but the second half's been disappointing. They're playing 500 baseball. And, like you said, they haven't been very hot, and they ran into an extremely hot Houston team. It'll be interesting to see, if they can kind of recover, and slip into the postseason, because I think the Rangers are very good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think the Rangers are really, really good. I do think that Toronto is going to miss the postseason. I do think it'll be Tampa Bay, Seattle, and Rangers. But we still got a lot of baseball to play because Rangers are only half a game out. So we
Yeah,
still have a lot of baseball to play.
not a baseball. You're right.
My only thing, if you're the Rangers or the Mariners or the Blue Jays or the Reds or the Diamondbacks, Cubs in some sense, Miami, you don't scoreboard watch. You just win your games. You put together a 6 or 7 game winning streak right now, and that's game set match. Just win your games. Don't worry about what other people are doing, right? You can't control that. You have to control what you can do, and you got to be winning. Period. End of discussion. Mic drop.
Yeah,
Right.
that's well said. So
Yeah. All right. So my last one
fans
before
of
we get
teach, just root for your team.
what's that?
I was going to say, don't scoreboard watch fans of playoff teams right now. It only brings you pain. Trust me.
Yes, it'll only bring you some type of addiction to alcohol or something else like that. All right. So my number three before we go into the honorable mention is I still have the same prediction that I've been saying for 3 weeks, 4 weeks now, and that is the Chicago Cubbies are going to win that division. They are 3 games out after today. It could be 3.5 out, or they could still be 2.5 out if Milwaukee loses today. I think the Cubs are going to win that division. They are hot right now, and they're playing good fundamental baseball. What say you, Jackson?
I think the Brewers are coming out of a hot stretch, so we'll have to see. I think Milwaukee is a very, very strong pitching team. It's like you could throw a dart at the dartboard. You got some to pick a random guy, and you got some guy with a wipeout slider and a 99-mile-an-hour sinker for for kicks and giggles coming out of there. But I want to give the edge to Milwaukee. I think the Cubs have a better lineup. I just think Milwaukee's pitching is built for the stretch run where your pitching can pick up your offense more than your offense can pick up your pitching in these
Yeah,
tight games.
makes
So
sense. Makes sense. I think that the Cubs have it all. I think they're the team to win that division. So, yep. Jackson, honorable mention. You said you got some statistics, and speaking of statistics, did you hear the in the leagues this morning?
I did not.
Somebody asked in the leagues. Thomas and Megan were on today. Somebody asked in the leagues who has the better pitching rotation in history, the New York Metropolitans or the Atlanta/Milwaukee Braves. We went to the tail of the tape. Thomas obviously said the Braves. I said the Mets, and Megan said the Mets. She's a Mets fan. But we have agreed to have another live where we have a moderator on. His name's Big Dave. He's an Astros fan. Thomas and Megan on, and myself. And guess what? Thomas said, and I quote, I'm going to have to get some stats from Jackson on this one. So you were mentioned today. You were mentioned today as the top fan stats guy. All right.
I think sitting around this morning, I felt some sort of disturbance.
There was a disturbance of the force.
Somebody was calling out for my stat expertise. I think that's a close one. I think the Mets have had lots of really good pitchers. So have the Braves, obviously. So that'd be interesting debate.
The Braves had the big three, right? Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox. But don't forget the Mets had Doc, they had Nolan Ryan, they had Tom Seaver, they had David Cohn. They've had some pretty good pitchers.
You're forgetting the greatest left-handed pitcher of all time, Bill, for the Braves, Warren Spahn. So, very interesting debate.
It is. I like it. So, what do you got for your honorable mention?
So Lucas Giolito became the first pitcher to allow 8 runs in the game for 3 different teams in the same season, since Bill McGee did so for in 18. And do you know what team Bill McGee played for?
No.
The Louisville Colonels, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Washington Senators.
Yeah, so that was a couple of days ago.
You only got to look a little bit before the expansion era in baseball, just a teeny bit.
Little bit.
I will just leave it at that. I will not roast Lucas Giolito much more.
Yeah. So my only honorable mention is we had a discussion of sorts. Who's our National League MVP? Is it Acuna? Is it Betts? Is it Freeman? Is it Olson? I'm going to say that Betts has taken a lead from over Freeman and Olson, but it's really, really hard if I were a sports writer to vote against Ronald Acuna Jr. right now. 34 home runs, 88 RBIs, 63 steals. He's hitting 330, 187 hits. It's really, really hard to vote against that guy. Really, really hard. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it let me tell you, I watched the Braves game last night, and he hit 2 home runs. It just seems like he's swinging for the fences. He wants those 40 home runs. And with 20 games to go, they start a series with Pittsburgh tonight. I know they have one more series with Washington. There's a couple series with a couple teams here where he can really tee off if you're not careful. Poor Adam Wainwright. Did you see Acuna's second home run? For those of you who didn't see it, it was a curveball, probably 2 feet off the ground, painted on the outside corner by Adam Wainwright, and Acuna hit it on a line. It was like 425 to dead center field.
That's another person too. Adam Wainwright has a Hall of Fame career. He needs to just hang it up. He's 3-11 with an ERA of 8.19 or something like that.
Yeah.
And apparently the first pitch of the game to Acuna was his fastball at 86.5 miles an hour. It's not very fast.
Yeah. And let me And let me tell you, he's been 2 wins away from 200 since mid-June, Bill.
I know.
That's gotta be painful.
I know.
Oh,
And he's only got like 3 more starts or something like that.
yeah. So, here's the Adam Wainwright maybe making it to 200 wins.
Yeah.
But
Here's to Adam. All right, Jackson, we've got some really cool merchandise. I don't know how to get it. Is there a discount code anywhere?
use code Jackson. You can get 10% off. Um, anything at Top Man, if you're looking to get a hat, maybe a jersey. Holidays are coming. I know it's a little early, but the holidays are coming up. Maybe get your holiday shopping out of the way here in
Oh, they
September
shop
and October. But use
So
code Jackson, get 10%
is
off.
is Jackson spelled the same way as champion? Because champion is spelled Dodgers. Is Jackson spelled the same way as champion? Dogers.
No, no,
I'm
it's
just
not
messing with
spelled
you,
the same
Jackson.
way.
I'm just messing with you. Top Fan Rivalry followers, Jackson and I. It's Friday afternoon. It's Friday evening for him. We got jokes, not very good ones, by the way. But we gave you the weekly review. We love the fact that you're watching this on YouTube. They will be in the locker room here starting next week. You got to get your merchandise, got to get into the locker room before things go up. Jackson, we have so many exciting announcements to come. So I appreciate you doing this with me yet again. And let's do it again next week.
Yeah. All right. See you then.
All right.